This is probably the most elite street in Sydney.
Yes, of course it is.
It's nice, at least.
We have made a coffee for you already. Oh, it's really fantastic.
There's a side of me these two don't know.
So the trees, yeah, we're quite high up actually.
Have they got a pool or something down there?
They're not their own pool, they've got their own beach.
There's a lovely beach down there, yeah.
That's a t-shirt bought at the Reclining Buddha in
I see the reclining Buddha. What's that say up there though?
in Thailand. Is there anybody around here read Thai?
Thai, is it? Thai, I didn't know.
Is it Thai or is it some Malaysian? No, it's
sitting Buddha.
Thai. Yeah,
I
it's Thai.
remember that. Yeah.
Can you read Thai?
A huge one, that's a golden statue of Buddha.
Yes.
They covered it up something during war to save that, you know.
Really? Yeah.
Well, so they wouldn't steal the gold.
And there are so many of them, golden statues of Buddha.
I love the thought of them collecting your children.
Look at the radiation.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I'm going to go too. And this mammoth. It's a beautiful view from. Somebody dropped down.
Hello.
Hello. Sort of can. I have to go there. Okay. Perfect for you.
Looky with the water view, I think you've been at the proposal to that one.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Turn and look at the bridge.
Not my bag.
Not your bag. Come on. Coming.
Well, I think we're almost all present, and at least one of the other people told me he could be late because he's supposed to have a class that finishes at 8. He's going to try and get rid of them early. He's from Michael Cameron's from the University of Sydney, and I do hope he will come because this is an evening of great interest to him. He teaches in Hindu studies, and tonight should tell him some new things he probably never heard about Hindu studies before. Well. It's customary for anybody introducing any speaker to say how delighted they are for doing it, but I really think that those words could have been uttered more sincerely than they are by me this evening. It is also quite common for people in this situation to say that we've had some remarkable speakers, but this is the most remarkable of them all that I've ever had the pleasure of introducing so far. That also I am saying with total sincerity. We've had in this room a number of extremely distinguished and world-renowned thinkers of various kinds. But this is the first time we've ever had anybody who's been described in the literature as a cosmic terrorist. U.G. Krishnamurti is, just for those of you who haven't read what I've written about it, him is no relation to the famous Jiddu Krishnamurti. It happens that it's a very common given name in India, but because of the ethnocentricity of the British Raj, it tends to be written at the end in the customary Indian fashion, and therefore mistaken for a surname and used as such by people from the Western traditions, and so they're stuck with it and have to be called Mr. Krishnamurti, which isn't the right way of doing it at all. But that seems to have been accepted with good grace by both of them. U.G., however, was born into the highest theosophical circles at the time that Jiddu Krishnamurti was just being launched on the world as the forthcoming Messiah, and one might say that having started that way, he's never looked back. He has been described on ABC Radio by Paul Collins, who interviewed him there, as the most consistently negative person that he's ever come across in his life. And U.G. has possibly become famous during the course of the last 30 years or so around the world for denouncing with a rigor that passes imagination almost all the spiritual nostrums that anyone has ever chosen to support. And amongst them, he has chosen to say that he even believes that Jiddu Krishnamurti was not what he claimed to be. A great fraud was the phrase that was used in one of U.G.'s statements. Now, I've just been reading a book which is due out for publication, this is the manuscript version, shortly from Penguins, which is U.G.'s biography. And in this, I learned that, in fact, U.G. was, even in his teens, showing some of the, which was some time ago now, was showing some of the signs of the movement that many of us have lived through, the human potential movement of asserting one's right to think for oneself as distinct from having one's thought framed by society or one's betters. For instance, I've never come across a more human potential phrase than the one that U.G. is reported to have used to his grandfather when his grandfather, shocked at the boy's willingness to question almost anything that was given to him, said he disinherited him, but disowned him. To which U.G. is said to have replied, "But you never owned me, so how can you disown me?" And from that start, as a teenager, U.G. went on to a most remarkable career. Today, he's known, with a rigor that even J. Krishnamurti couldn't surpass, for denouncing seekers, and for saying that seeking is a futile occupation. Spiritual seeking is a futile occupation. That there is nothing to be found, and that therefore there's no point in pursuing it. But in fact, he himself spent many years of his life as an earnest seeker who would put any of the rest of us, and anyone that any of the rest of us know, into the shade. You name it, he sought it, and sought it with a fervour that really few people could match. And it was out of that seeking that he came to the conclusion that there wasn't anything to be found. And having come to that conclusion, he found something that almost no one else has ever found. I'll leave him to tell that story to you in the course of the evening. But one of the things that has always endeared U.G. to me is this. He has, obviously, having come to this negative conclusion, no teaching. He hasn't anything to tell anybody. But somehow or other, people won't believe it. And they insist on going and asking him questions, to which he gives astonishing answers. And eventually, a group of people who had become thoroughly disillusioned with various gurus and spiritual teachers and masters of various kinds, having taped a number of his sessions, put together this book, which some of you will have read. Mind is a Myth, Disquieting Conversations with a Man Called Eugene. And they asked Eugene if they could publish it in book form, to which his reply was that yes, they could publish it, provided it had this disclaimer in the front. And anyone who can do this endears himself to me for life. My teaching, if that is the word you want to use, has no copyright. You are free to reproduce, distribute, interpret, misinterpret, distort, garble, do what you like, even claim authorship, without my consent or the permission of anybody. Now, with that, the book was launched, and as I say, nobody who says that can be all bad. And but unfortunately, or unfortunately for us, I think, the rot didn't stop there. This was not the last group of people who put together a work by Eugene. Incidentally, I was foresighted enough to purchase a few copies of these from the distributor in India, and I actually have 4 still left. So if anybody wants to buy one this evening, they can certainly do so. Please see me afterwards. What you cannot do is to buy this, which isn't published yet, or these yet. There are 3 other books that could be bought if you are interested, and please again see me afterwards if you are interested. With the rate of exchange between the Australian dollar and the rupee being what it is, they're ridiculously cheap by Western standards. The Mystique of Enlightenment, unfortunately, is not available. This, because that's gone, it's all been purchased. But the Sage and the Housewife is available if you want it. Just see me, and I'll try. I'm getting a few copies that Eugene has ordered for me from the Indian distributor, and another one called "Thought Is Your Enemy." And then also make a note of Eugene, What a Man, is actually an official biography, which it shouldn't happen really at all, but the author managed to talk Eugene into it, and here it is coming out from Penguin very shortly.
And also he made into a film.
Well, the author of it is a film buff. It's a leading Indian film producer, very well known, even on the world scale. But I have to announce that the rumours that have got about that there is shortly to be a movie based on this film with Dustin Hoffman playing Eugene. The other person who requires to be introduced this evening. This is a unique occasion in many ways. We've never had a cosmic terrorist with us before, but we've also never been on film before. And Julie, who I've been delighted to meet both last time that Eugene came to Sydney and this time, is a photographer, I think, amongst other things, by profession, and has made it her business to make a number of videos of Eugene during the course of his travels. And in fact, there's a video of a long 40-minute interview that I did with Eugene last time he was here, and a number of other videos that she's made. If you're interested in following this evening up in any way, we could perhaps hold a small video evening of Eugene videos, in which case I'm hoping that we shall be able to have a copy of tonight's to add to the collection, so that some of you might be able to refresh your memories about it. It's typical of Eugene. Incidentally, never normally introduce our speakers for this length of time. But one of the things that Eugene insists is that since he has no teaching, he can't give a talk. So I can't ask him to introduce himself. So I've chosen to introduce him, at least for this length of time, because what he would like to do is to respond to your questions. This is all our evenings here have been, to some degree, evenings in which you put questions, the sort of questions that you can't easily put at a public meeting. Tonight, it isn't merely a possibility, it's a necessity. If you don't put any questions, he'll get up and go home. And so I'm trusting that you will all have plenty of questions to put. Typical of him, in the book that I've just been reading with enormous pleasure, was two things. Many other things could be said. One is that in his earliest years, he is a Brahmin. He decided to show his independence by breaking his sacred thread. And he's since broken every sacred thread you could imagine from any group or following or teaching that you could name, because he believes that I'm misleading us all. But typical of him is the fact that he has an enormous sense of humour. And I particularly was struck by the joke that the only reason Jesus walked on water was that he didn't know how to swim. Now, I want to open the meeting to you now, and I say that it is a very great pleasure to have you with us, Eugene. I have never met anyone in the course of my long and extensive travels around the world that I would say was a more interesting person than Eugene. He's not merely an interesting person, he's an interesting phenomenon. Because when he gave up the search, when he decided that there wasn't anything to look for, he discovered what was there and didn't need looking for. Something which is, to quote Wittgenstein, so obvious that we don't usually even notice it. Something that we are almost trained not to notice by the activities of the mind, which is socially programmed from beginning to end. And the state in which Eugene lives is a state which, he insists, none of us would want. Yet I am quite certain that when you learn more about it, you will find yourself caught in a cleft stick, because he will insist that you would hate it if you got it, and yet you'll feel that you want it more than anything else you've ever known. Out of that cleft stick, he has no way to suggest that you might go, but maybe you can figure one out yourself. And one of the things that he has said repeatedly is that the great feature of nature, as distinct from mind, is that it really does produce individuals. It may only be interested in the reproduction of the species, but within each species it produces individuality in a way that mind cannot know, because mind always generalizes. As a result, it may be, and Eugene will be the first to say this, that each one of you is able to produce some remarkable entry into that naturalness which Eugene represents in his every movement, his every utterance, and in everything that he conveys to us by being with us. And he will be the first to say that there is no mystical nonsense about that. Mysticism, he says, is complete nonsense. This is something utterly natural, so natural that most of us can't manage to be in it. So, I'm going to, while you're all sitting wondering what you're going to ask, I'll just ask the first question. Eugene.
Before.
Sure.
You have said so many kind things about me. I really don't know what to do. First, I have a few disclaimers, a confession to make. I really do not know what is there in those books. Really, honestly, I don't know what is there in those books. I just talk like this, and somebody recorded them, transcribed them, and published them. So when they wanted me to give permission, I wrote that on a small piece of paper and said, do what you like. And the first book, as you mentioned, it is The Mistake of Enlightenment. The title should have been The Mistake of Enlightenment. And this book, The Sage and the Housewife. I am not a sage, and she is no longer a housewife, and she is now a working girl.
It's a great book.
The mind is a myth. I don't even know, disquieting conversations, but I don't indulge in any conversations at all. I just sit here if some people throw questions at me. Really, frankly speaking, I don't give any answers. See? So I always maintain that you cannot have any questions which you can call your own. All the questions are born out of the answers you already have. Otherwise, you would bother asking questions yourself or throwing questions at others. But we are not honest enough to admit that the answers are false. So the answers are not ours. The answers are put in by our teachers. So if you question the answers, you are questioning yourself and questioning the teachers. Then the sentimentality enters the picture, and you become very sentimental. You dare not brush aside the answers that have been given to us by others, because they are not valid and true. They don't operate in our lives. And yet, we have tremendous investment in all those teachers and believe that they are, you see, in some kind of a state. And we invest our tremendous investment, you see, in them. And believe that those teachers are in position of what they claim to be in. So that's all I have to say. Nice meeting you all and goodbye.
Well, if you don't want him to go home,
I need your moral support. Growing questions at others. But we are not honest enough to admit that the answers are false. So the answers are not ours. The answers are put in by our teachers. So if you question the answers, you are questioning yourself and questioning the teachers. Then the sentimentality enters the picture and you become very sentimental. You dare not brush aside the answers that have been given to us by others. Because they are not valid and true, they don't operate in our lives. And yet, we have tremendous investment in all those teachers and believe that they are, you see, in some kind of a state. And we invest our tremendous investment, you see, in them. And believe that those teachers are in position of what they claim to be in. So that's all I have to say. Nice meeting you all and goodbye.
Well, if you don't want him to go home,
I need your moral support. I'm not trying to be funny or any such thing. I really don't know where to begin or where to end. Where to end, I know. And there is such a thing as common decency and elementary manners that I should not just say goodbye and walk out of this place. You have all come here. I don't know, but for whatever reason you are here. I'm here, sitting here, and do what you like with me.
Sitting here, Eugene.
So I need a moral support from you, from everybody here.
I wonder if you could just tell us.
I really don't know where to begin or where to end. There was a time when I was considered to be a very good speaker, but I cannot give talks. I cannot formulate any questions myself and try to answer them. That's my difficulty. Really, I cannot do that kind of a thing. And so if you throw questions at me, my interest is to point out that the questions are meaningless. See? So now, I don't have any answers for any questions of any kind. I don't have any questions of any kind except the questions I need to ask. You see, how to get here, how to get to your place, which is the next available flight for me out of Sydney, wherever I'm going. Some such practical questions. Otherwise, we cannot function this world safely and intelligently. Functional questions we do have to ask. So other questions which are of great importance and significance to you have no meaning. There is another thing I want to emphasize. The thought that I am different from you all never enters my head at all. So there is no question of my putting myself up on a pedestal and try to answer your questions and try to save you from whatever you are caught up in. I would not lift my little finger to help anybody because you don't need help. What I'm interested in pointing out to those who come to see me is a very simple thing. We have all been made to believe that we are all cripples, that we need crutches. And I want to tell you all, throw away the crutches, you will not fall. Even if you are, for some reason, trip over, you know how to stand up and walk. But don't ask me to give a helping hand. Don't ask me to supply you with the modern and lightweight, recent kind of crutches. You don't need crutches. That's all that I can say. If you fall, you will know how to rise and walk. That's all that. You don't need anybody's help.
Anyone want to disagree with that?
If I am lame or disabled naturally, see, and I do not want to depend upon any human being for that kind of an help. We need robots. You see, if you give me a helping hand, it's a very self-centered activity on your part because you don't realize that you are, whatever you are doing, is a do-gooders how you feel. I may use that word. So not really you are interested in helping anybody. You are helping yourself. Feeling good about giving a helping hand to somebody. What we need is robots. Now robots are going to help us. We don't need to depend upon any human beings because they themselves feel that they are doing something good.
So that the thing
it may sound very cynical, but the fact of the matter is that it is a self-centered activity on the part of us all to feel that we are doing good to somebody in this world. You know?
But in saying that, aren't you in a sense helping somebody?
No, not at all. I'm just pointing out the situation as it is. You may say that I'm very cynical about the whole thing, but a cynic is a realist, you see, because his feet are very, very firmly fixed on the ground.
You say we don't need any help, but do you feel that we need to fall?
No, you don't fall that time. If by any chance you fall, you know how to get up and go.
But are you saying that you have to fall?
It's a metaphor. You don't take it literally.
Yeah.
You know.
But you're talking about a fall.
Yeah, but what is your goal? See, the one basic question I throw at the people who come to see me. A lot of people come to see me. And this is an artificially created situation. I don't go out and meet people at all. But anyway, I'm here and we find ourselves here today. For whatever reason we are here. And so what do you want? What do you want? See, this is the basic question. I put this question to myself when I was very young, when I was in my teens. I said to myself this, I always repeat over and over again to make one point very clear. You see, what do I want to see? And what are these thoughts which are used by me to achieve some goal? Are these my thoughts? Are these my wants? Everything I wanted was what somebody else wanted me to want. Everything I thought, oh my God, these are not my thoughts. Do I have any experiences of my own? I said to myself, I don't have any experiences which I can call my own. All the experiences I had were given to me by others. You see, what you do not know, you cannot experience at all. So you have to know in order to create an experience for yourself. So that is the reason why I say that I don't have any thoughts which I can call my own. I don't have any experiences which I can call my own. So what is there to be proud of? See, all the thoughts I have here are put in by others. See, I don't have any thoughts. The same is true of you too. You have appropriated themselves to yourself and called them your thoughts. Really, you don't have any thoughts which you can call your own. I don't mean by thought something mysterious or mystifying. Thought is memory, you see. The fact that you know that I am here is born out of your memory. So the identity or the center you have there is created by memory. You are born out of memory. The fact that you think that I am sitting here talking and very much alive is also born out of your memory. Whether I am dead or alive, the only way you can relate with me, whether I am sitting here or somewhere else, is through use of your memory. That's all that is there. Then what is memory? You can give a definition. You can call them neurons there in the brain. Where are those memories? Every cell in your body has a memory of its own. There is no central or place where you see the memories are located. Where are those memories? We really don't know. I studied psychology as a student. That was 50 years ago, almost, or even 60 years ago, I must say. So you see, you can give a definition. You see, the capacity to recall a specific thing at a specific time is defined as memory. But what you call you is born out of your memory. And what you call me is also born out of your memory. I'm saying a lot of things anyway. I don't want to say. Come on, you throw some questions at me.
So you're denying creativity, evolution, inventiveness.
We really don't... see, you cannot create anything that you do not know. We are not honest, decent, decorous enough to admit that we pick up things from different sources and claim that we are creative. Only life is creative. Life does not use anything as a model. All of our creativity is born out of copying something that is already there. But we are not honest enough to admit that we are copying something that is already there. Even the so-called artists, see, the great artists pick up things from different sources and put them together. The way we all have developed our own style. So we go to the same school, we go to the same teachers. The same teachers teach us all these languages and subjects. And we pick up something of this, something of that, something of something else, put them all together and create what you call your own style. Basically, this is all taken from different sources, but we are not ready to admit that everything that we have is put in there by some external outside agency.
But isn't the way it's put together creative? I mean, isn't that
Okay, you can define the word creativity, and then you say that this is creative writing, this is creative art, this is creative thinking, this is creative this, that, and the other. But actually and factually, there is no such thing as creativity at all in nature. Nature does not use anything as a model. If once something is created, it is destroyed, and it starts all over again. It's not that I have a special insight into the nature, but you know, no two faces look alike, no two leaves look alike, no two snakes, snakes are the same. You see, if you carefully look at it, you will be surprised that no two faces are the same, no two leaves are the same, no two snowflakes are the same. So, but we all try to put them all in a common mold and create, you see, some sort of an order in that and think that we are creative. Nature does not use anything as a model. So we all have a model. You see, we copy something, but we don't admit that we are copying something from some source. That is why I tell many of the people who claim that they are original, you see, and they are not original, but they are not honest enough, or they do not know the source. If once you do not quote the source, ignore the source, you become original. There is no such thing as originality. So very soon, the computers will call the bluff and tell us what your source is and where you have taken this material from.
Eugene, you said, or in the books, it's
Because the computers will become great artists, great musicians, putting all the great artists, all the musicians that this world has produced so far. All the painters will be put to shame. It may not happen in your lifetime, in my lifetime. That's going to be the case very soon. Sorry, I interrupted you.
Well, I was going to ask you if, as you say that you are in a natural state, are you not creative at all? Is it the natural state that you are in, is that not creative?
I'm not using the natural state in any mystical or spiritual terms or metaphysical terms. The natural state, when once you are free from the stranglehold of culture or thought, as a matter of fact, what you are left with is this living organism with an extraordinary intelligence of its own. There is no way you can compare any acquired intelligence to the natural intelligence that is already there. This does not want to learn anything, does not want to know anything from us. But we are not ready to accept the fact that it has an extraordinary intelligence. And what we have acquired through all this effort, struggle, we consider that to be more intelligent than the functioning of this living organism.
How can we get it?
It's already here. There is no question of getting something that is already there. We always ask the question, how? How implies you want to know. See, the movement of knowledge that is there is interested in throwing that question at yourself and throwing that question at others because you want to know. And through that knowing, you are adding momentum to the movement of knowledge. You already know a lot. See, knowledge cannot help us to experience anything. When I use the word experience, I do not use that in any mystical or mystifying terms. The fact that this is black is something which cannot be experienced by you except through the knowledge you have of that. You know, every time you look at the sky, you say the sky is blue. How do you know the sky is blue? My grandmother told you. So every time I look at the sky, I tell myself the sky is blue. And now a joker there, a scientist, comes along and tells us that he knows now how the sky, why the sky is blue. All right, we'll add more information to that. Every time you look at the sky, you tell yourself it is blue, and you will also use the additional knowledge given to us by the scientists and tell yourself and others why the sky is blue. That is how you accumulate the knowledge. And that is all that is there. So knowledge is a power. There is no such thing as knowledge for the sake of knowledge. I know, you do not know. So I feel so great about it. What do I know after all? I know nothing other than what is put in there. I have a good memory. I have a better memory than you have. That's why I think I'm more intelligent than you are. It's the constant use of memory that is wearing us all out. The memory is not intended for the purposes for which it is there in this living organism. We are using for purposes for which it is not intended, to achieve goals, to become something other than what you are. Becoming something is the one that is using tremendous amount of energy. And we have invented a thing called being. Oh, this is philosophers talk of being. You see, being also is a process of becoming. There isn't a thing you need to do to be. So what you are, you will never know. That's a lot of things and a lot of things.
Do you equate then self with memory?
Self, is big self, small self? What exactly do you mean by self?
What I claim to be.
What I'm saying is that there is no center, there is no self there, there is no I there. So the illusion that you have is that there is an I, that there is a center. And that center, the I, the self, or whatever you want to call it, is created by the knowledge you have.
So you're equating knowledge with what you call self?
No, there is no way you can separate yourself from what you call self, the I, the center, except for the knowledge you have and look at it. You know, people always talk of thoughts and thinking. There are no thoughts there at all. You will be surprised, let alone thinking. So, is there any such thing as thought? What is thought? That's a ridiculous, absurd, idiotic question to ask. Because if you try to separate yourself from thought and look at it, what you will find there is not thought, but all about thought that is put in there. So you don't realize one basic thing, that the brain is not creative at all. It is just a reactor and a container, and it is not a creator. It is singularly incapable of creating anything except to repeat what is put in there. The brain physiologist, the brain psychologist may say, what will I? But they are going to learn this one day, very soon, that brain is singularly incapable of creating anything. You know, you can test the brain, examine the brain. You know, I don't know for sure, but they preserved the brain of Einstein. And they examined it several years after his death, and they found that the brain was no different, no more different or better than a low-grade moron. So you will have no way of trying to look at the brain after you are gone and dead. To examine it and find out that is the brain of Einstein, that's the brain of a genius, that's the brain of a creative man, and not the brain of a low-grade moron like me.
You mentioned capital S self, and before that, intention. You said we're using thought for what it is not intended. Intended by who, in what scheme?
By the culture. The culture is interested in maintaining its status quo, its continuity. So there is no such thing as an individual. You and I are created by the society, culture, or whatever you want to call it, to maintain its status quo. That's all it is interested in. So anything you experience is created by the society. So there is no such thing as an individual. There is no such thing as freedom of action at all. You have the freedom of action to come here and not to come here. Eat the Indian food, not the Indian food, but all your actions are genetically controlled. Not that there is,
social change, major revolutions and social change.
It's only it's a revaluation of the value system. So you create new values, and then you need another revolution. It goes on and on and on and on.
So how can it be genetically coded unless there's new gene, next revolution?
There is no such thing as a revolution there. So all your actions are controlled. That is why every revolution in the long run fails and you need another revolution.
Now, what is, I think you
allowed it to be believed that in a way you somehow, through what you call your calamity, learned or discovered a different way of using memory. Can you tell us about how you use it?
As I said, my memory is only a factual memory. But the image-making structure that is unfortunately the part of your so-called memory is really the problem. So there is no way I can create an image of myself. You see, I'm only talking of the physical functioning of this living organism. The sensory activity does not tell me anything about this. You see, the word table, this is very dangerous because you cannot take this very seriously. You see, table and wife. What's the difference between the two? This is the factual memory that I'm talking about. So the image you have around that word called wife, the image you have around this table is really the problem. So the physical activity does not tell you anything about anything. The eyes are looking at you. So what I'm trying to say is the sensations are translated by you through the help of the knowledge you have. But actually the stimulus and response is one unitary moment. They cannot be separated. It is one unitary moment. When the eyes are looking at you, the knowledge I have is not operating there most of the time unless I want to know what is happening there, wanting to know. To maintain, to use constantly the memory to maintain your identity or whatever you want to call it. The knowledge you have of yourself and of the world around you is really the problem. So if that knowledge comes to an end, you as you know yourself, you as you experience yourself, will come to an end and you will drop dead on this spot here. What will be left afterwards is not your concern. This is not what people are talking about, the near-death experience at all. See, the death does not exist for this body because the body has no way of experiencing the fact that it is alive except through the knowledge we have. The doctors who have examined this body, studied this body, they know a lot about how the body is functioning. So they tell us, you see, that they take your temperature, they take your blood pressure, they take the heartbeat and tell you that you are very much alive. I am delighted. But you have to use that knowledge you have to experience the fact that you are alive. So the body does not know that it is alive today, so there is no death for this body. So death is something which cannot be experienced by the body. So is there any such thing as death? There is no such thing as death. You see, you use that word to describe the condition of a corpse as death. You call it a corpse, you call it a dead body. So the way you call this a table, a black table, so you project the knowledge you have on that and give a name to it and call it a dead body. But you really don't know whether it is alive or dead. See, the doctors can tell us, you see that the brain is now deteriorating, you are not responding to the stimulus, and so on and so forth. But actually there is no way you can find out that you are alive. So there is no way you can find out when you are dead that you are dead. So death can never be part of your experience. What you are frightened of is what you know coming to an end. What do you know after all? You know that I am a man, not a woman. You know that this is the table and a black table. This is the world around you, but the world within you is exactly the same. You are hungry. You are bored. You are happy, you are unhappy, you are miserable, you are this, that, and the other. So you're always translating what is going on there within the framework of your knowledge. That's all that you are doing. So you are not going to preside your own death, what is called your own death. So the experiencing structure first comes to an end. You will not die fully conscious at any time. When once what we call a clinical death takes place, you really have no way of knowing anything about death. So death can never become part of your experiencing structure. For all practical purposes, the living organism does not have any such thing as death because it does not know that it is alive. When it is dead by our definition, it has no way of knowing that it is dead. Actually and factually, this becomes useful for nature. The recycling of this human body and all the living organisms are essential to maintain the level of energy in this universe.
What then would you say is consciousness, Eugene?
I question consciousness, let alone the unconscious, subconscious, and all that stuff, you see. What is important for you is to ask that question and find out yourself. What I say is not important. So when do you become conscious of anything? I'm not your teacher, I'm not asking you. You tell me, when do you become conscious of the fact that I am sitting here, that I am a man, that I am not a woman, that I am alive, that I am talking? When do you become conscious of me?
When I'm looking at you and I know
about the eyes are looking at me. The eyes don't tell you a thing.
No, they
so you translate those sensations within the framework of your knowledge.
That's right. I know other men, so you are a man because I've seen them before.
Yes, certainly the memory is all that is there. So the memory is conscious. Are you ready to accept that?
I'm accepting.
Yes. So why we bother about consciousness, awareness? You know, awareness is an activity of the brain. Every dog, pig, fish, every animal is totally conscious and totally aware.
And totally teachable.
Huh?
Totally teachable to the same level that I am.
You are repeating what you have acquired. That's all. It's a repetitive process. They know their masters. They know how to get back to their home. The functional memory is very, very active there. Apart from that, they are totally aware. So awareness is something which cannot be separated from the activity of the brain and used to bring about a change. So what I'm saying is, all this talk of transformation, radical or otherwise, is absurd because there is nothing there to be transformed.
Why then do we want change? Why then does the human being want change? All Europe is wanting to change. Everybody who knows wanting to change.
Change for the better always. Change for the better. So that you can be more comfortable in this world.
Of course, for the better.
Why not? You change the world. If you can be the boss, then it's fine. You can become the president of the country, then it is all right if you want to change. Because we have been brainwashed for centuries to believe that something is wrong here, so you must be something else other than what you are. And we have swallowed it. We have all been fed on that kind of a bunk for centuries. If the diet were to be changed, we would all die of starvation. So you are not ready for that kind of a thing. But you never question that is there anything there to be changed. All the change you are talking about is change within that framework. Yes. It's a modified continuity of the same. But you are not ready to question the very fundamental thing.
Which is the body?
The body is not asking any questions. It does not want to know anything from anybody. That's why I tell all these nutritionists, shoot all those bastards on sight. Here I am, a 74-year-old man sitting here who does not care for fruits, who does not eat vegetables. I eat sawdust and some glue. I survive on this kind of any bastard who tells me that it is essential for you to eat protein, that you should eat vitamins, that you should do this, do that, shoot them all on sight. I eat how many bottles of cream, double cream, triple cream every day. There's no use of those people telling me. I'm not recommending sawdust and glue to you, but I'm telling you that that's all nonsense, absolute rubbish. Because you listen to everything that is there, every commercial that is there, and you fall for that kind of commercial. You can fall for anything and you will believe in anything.
You haven't said why it is that I want to change if I don't like what I have a feeling I don't like.
Obviously, you don't like because you are made to believe that you should be something different other than what you are. What you are, I want to know. Tell me what you are. You will never know what you are.
But how did that whole game arise in the first place?
It is put in there by our culture. There's no point in blaming that.
If we go back, what's the reason?
There's no way you can go back.
Why go back?
Why do you want to start all over again? There is no way. It's too late to start. What do you want? What do you want? What do you want? You tell me what do you want, and how do you go about to get what you want? This is my question. What do you want?
We want to be happy.
There is no such thing as happiness at all. No such thing. That's what everybody wants in this world. To be happy without one moment of unhappiness. to have pleasure without pain. You see, happiness is a sensation being. You know, it has a limited life. The span of life is very limited. Once you feel that you are happy, you want that happiness to continue, right? So you want to extend. The body is not interested in that sensation of happiness at all. The body is not interested in the sensation of pleasure without pain. So what you are stuck with is unhappiness, and what you are stuck with is pain.
What would you say the body is interested in?
It is not interested in anything you are interested in. It does not want to know anything, learn anything from you. All the intelligence that is necessary for its survival is already there. But unfortunately,